أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We're going to read Surah 20, start from 36, verse 36 to 70 tonight, inshallah. Okay, Ebu Madra, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. He said, I am granting you your request, O Moses, and we indeed blessed you another time, when we inspired your mother what we inspired. Put him in a box and throw him into the sea. It will come to the seashore, and he will be picked up by an enemy of mine and an enemy of his. And I showered you with love from me, and I have made you before my watchful eye. As your sister was walking, she said, Can I show you someone who can look after him? We thus returned you back to your mother in order to brighten her eyes and saved her from grief. And you killed a soul, and we saved you from distress, and we thoroughly tested you. Then you spent years with the Midians, and you exactly followed your destiny, O Moses. And I chose you just for me. Go, you and your brother, with my signs, and do not waver in commemorating me. The two of you shall go to Pharaoh, for he has indeed rebelled. The two of you shall talk to him in a soft manner, that he may take heed or become reverent. The two of them said, Our Lord, we are indeed fearful that he may transgress against us or rebel. He said, Do not fear, I will indeed be with you, both listening and watching. Then when both of you get there, tell him, Indeed, we are two messengers from your Lord. Therefore let the children of Israel go with us, and do not persecute them. We will indeed produce for you a sign from your Lord, and peace upon the one who follows the guidance. We have indeed been inspired that suffering will be the lot of the one who rejects and turns away. He said, Who is the Lord of the two of you, O Moses? He said, Our Lord is the one who granted everything its existence, then guided. He said, What about the previous generations? He said, The knowledge thereof is with my Lord in a record. My Lord never errs, nor does he ever forget. He is the one who made the land an oasis for you, and made roads for you therein, and he sends down water from the sky, whereby we grow all kinds of plants. Eat and feed your livestock. Indeed, therein are signs for those who possess intelligence. From it we created you, and to it we will return you, and from it we will bring you out once more. And we indeed showed him all of our signs, but he rejected and refused them all. He said, Did you come to evict us from our land with your magic, O Moses? We will therefore bring you similar magic, so go ahead and choose a venue for us and you, that neither us nor you will violate, a neutral place. He said, The venue will be the day of festivities, when the people gather around by the forenoon. Therefore Pharaoh turned away. He put together all his schemes. Then he showed up. Moses told them, Woe to you! Do not attribute lies to God, otherwise you will end up suffering. And indeed failed the one who fabricated. Then they debated the matter fiercely amongst themselves and had secret meetings. They said, These are a group of magicians who want to evict you from your land with their magic and completely destroy your way of life. Therefore, put together your scheme and come in a row. And indeed, today success belongs to those who attain the upper hand. They said, O Moses, either you throw or we throw first. He said, You go ahead and throw. Then once they threw, their ropes and sticks, due to their magic, seemed to him to be indeed moving. Then Moses felt fear inside him. He said, We said, "Do not fear, you will be exalted, and throw what is in your right hand. It will swallow what they have fabricated. Indeed, what they fabricated is no more than a magician's trick, and the magicians will never succeed." Then the magicians fell prostrate, saying, "We believe in the Lord of Aaron and Moses."
Marshall, yes, 7. Thank you, yes. Okay, we'll stop right here. Okay, very good. Are there any questions or comments or observations?
Salam, sir.
Alaikum salam, Barry, yes?
On ayah 45.
Yes. Yes.
As the narrative is going, it appears like it's at the same time Moses was on the Tua, and it says the two of them said, was Aaron with him? It appears like that from that statement.
Yeah, I mean this is after he's asking for an assistant.
So it was a different point in time.
It's a different point in time, but this is now both of them are talking to God in
right.
This one. Yeah, the two of
okay.
them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Peace and blessings. Thank you for that.
Alaikum salam. Yes, for you.
Fazely. I was listening to the way that God asked Moses to speak to Pharaoh, and I noticed in many places God talks about giving His message and or responding to each other. Don't have such a loud voice, like the voice of the donkey, which is not the nicest. Don't yell at the messengers. Don't just give the message in the most nicest manner. So
yes,
I just think it's a way that we should behave.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, sir, absolutely.
Dr. Fazely, it's just been such a great space and time that we're going through that I am, and you're not yelling to us, you're just showing us, and so you're following that same way, and it's just the best. It really is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Salam, Dr. Fazely.
Salam. Yes, Shakira, go ahead, please.
All this conversation that is going on between the three of them, God is talking to them, and they're understanding clearly everything He's saying to them. It's just so amazing that God is I don't know if it's inspirational or what, but the reality is that it's like they're talking to each other in front of each other, but that's not the truth. Every single thing that they have is being answered for them. He said, "Do not fear, I will indeed be with you both, listening and watching." Each of them is hearing, And then you go to this, you go to Pharaoh, take your brother with you, do not waver. Both of them talking to him and both of them understanding everything. It just seems to me like maybe if we listen carefully enough, we would hear a lot too. Am I right?
I didn't catch that. Say that again.
I said we should also listen carefully because we might be getting so much information and we don't really, I'm not paying attention. But I try, but this seems to me so obvious.
Well, I mean, in this case, God is basically is talking to them, but I don't think that this part is actually a voice that's coming out. It's not a voice here. This is just some kind of telepathic type of communications that only
Yeah.
Aaron and Moses are privy to, and so we have to be careful about it, and
Yeah.
and so um, at the very beginning, God is speaking to Moses, and
Yes.
but in this case, I think that this is not a voice communications. It's like a telepathic type of communications.
Yes. And I really like 2039.
Yes.
It is just makes me think. I think He loves all of us if we do the right thing, and He will shower us too if we behave in the right way.
This is again it goes to the inspiration, you see, because
Yes. Yes.
He says when we inspire your mother, what we inspired. It says put him in a box. I mean, it really sounds crazy if you think about it.
Yes. Yes.
This was God's methodology to show His power, and the idea was that obviously He's coming back to the mother again, to His mother again,
Yes.
and so that is God's. As I said, we have to go back to 16:1 that God's command has already been issued, and we should not rush it. And it's very difficult, but that's how we're supposed to behave. That's what it means by putting your trust in God, because God will finish it off in the most desirable way that we did not think of. We think that we can actually fix things in our own minds and our own vision that we have of things, but we basically mess it up, and God is the one who's going through this detail of this thing. He said, put him in a box and throw him into the sea. It will come to the shore, and he will be picked up by an enemy of mine and an enemy of his. And I showered you with love from me, and I have made you before my watchful eye.
What were you doing? Were you nervous?
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Fazely.
Salam. Yes, Sir, go ahead, please.
Sir, if I may continue this conversation just a little bit. The amazing part about this inspiration and the magnitude of this inspiration is that not only did God say that put him in a box and throw him into the sea, it's put him in the box, throw him in the sea, and it's not as if, and yeah, he'll be safe. He's going to be picked up by his enemy and my enemy. It's like the opposite of what you ever want to have happen. That your child is picked up by your enemy. So you throw him in the box. Yeah, he's not going to drown. He's going to come to the shore. But then he's going to be picked up by your enemy and by his enemy and my enemy.
Indeed, yes.
And it's amazing. It's a compounded negative outcome, and yet God places that trust in this lady's heart, and we see what happened.
Exactly. But I mean, for all of these things that we have to remember this. Okay, remember that in the prayers I said at one time in one of the units of the prayers, I said that God is also the one who actually has the knowledge of a leaf falling. You see? So, in the bigger context, all of these things have to mesh in. You see? That they are somehow interdependent. And this interdependency of all of these events have to fall into place. That we really have no clue about it. And since God sees all and knows all, so He meshes it together, and that's the best possible outcome that could come out of this. And as you said, I mean, obviously this is not to a naive person looking from outside. This is really a road to disaster. Okay, but it wasn't. It was actually the best possible way of doing things.
Amazing. Thank you, sir.
It's amazing. Thank you.
I'd also like to add something, if I may.
Yes, please.
Right after that, then you have 23, 26, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and it reminds me of you alone. We worship you alone. We ask for help. That Moses was right on. You know, he asked for all kinds of things. You know.
Yes.
And on top of it, God granted it. So there's nothing that God can't do.
Yep. Yes, indeed. Okay, anything else? Any other comments or observations or questions? Anything?
I'd just like to mention one other thing for you, from your
Yes.
sermon today. He said on 27 he had blessed you. We blessed you another time with, when we revealed to your mother some revelations. So look how far you talked today about going back in time and doing the things today that will make the time before that better. I can't say the way you did today. You used the word retro.
Retrocausality.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it's working here. If you look back on all the things, even after Moses killed and did things he did, God fixed it.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for bringing that up. That's very relevant here, and it is amazing that how God arranges things. And as I said, every action is physically connected to all of the other actions in the universe, and it doesn't matter how small or large it is. It has some connection, and so all of these things have to fall into place. And so for God to say that, okay, He's going to interchange your bad deeds with good deeds, that is absolutely amazing. You see, that somehow the entire universe is going to change. Okay, but that shows God's power, and that's really should bring humility to us. That how powerful God is. That this is actually possible. Okay, because we always think of that the deeds of our past is going to build our future. That's how we are brought up. Okay, you go to school because you want to be successful. But the school is in the past. So those efforts that you put into your studying and things like that and learning things is in the past. And somehow they are going to be a foundation upon which your future is going to be built upon. Now God says, look, the reverse of this is also correct, that it doesn't matter his future or past. All you have to do is accept and admit that you were wrong. And so that should be a vehicle by which you can actually start now repenting to God and turn around and go towards God again. And don't go away from Him. And so that idea is absolutely mind-boggling. So now that this happens, now this is like a switch. It turns on this flow of time, not forward now, backwards. So that means now the stuff that you're doing in the future, instead of looking at prayers, zakat, all of those things that you did not do before, now you're doing it now, are going to somehow fix the stuff that you did in the past and replace those bad deeds with good deeds. That's the mind-boggling part.
Oh, we should praise God and thank Him. Glory be to God.
Yes. Yes.
You know, Dr. Fazely, thank you for sharing that also, because a lot of us, not just a lot of us, people just generally think that, well, you know, this happened to me younger, so I pursued a particular path because whatever, but God says don't despair of His mercy, and we just never knew how far back it could go or how forward it could go until knowing that He can change the past. That is really, really something that we should dwell on this week. I have to really, really feed that into my being because it's great news.
Yeah, you see, the times arrow is irrelevant for God. So that's what God is telling us. He says that it doesn't matter past or future or whatever it is, it's irrelevant for Him. And so He can fix the universe as though that time that you did not give your zakat is going to switch over to the time that you give your zakat. And the time that you were going to do something bad, it actually turned into doing something good. And so that times arrow is absolutely irrelevant to God. It doesn't matter. For us, as I said, we build upon our past to actually gain our achievements in the future, and that's how we are thinking of things. But God is telling us, He gives us information that really, beyond our imagination and beyond our wildest dream that we could have. One thing that I wanted to mention here is that that when they go to the when the magicians come, and it says by the forenoon, and they throw their ropes and sticks, and God is saying here, He says that He says, they said, "Oh Moses, either you throw or we throw first." And then Moses says, he said, "You go ahead and throw." Then once they threw, their ropes and sticks, due to their magic, seemed to him to be indeed moving. Okay, and then it says, then Moses felt fear inside himself. So he was fearful of this. Okay, this is you see, this human's heart is like that even Moses, with all of those things that he's seen from God, and God has spoken to him, he still has this fear in him that maybe he's going to be beaten right now. And then God is telling him, he says, we said, do not fear, you will be exalted. And throw what is in your right hand, it will swallow what they have fabricated. So this act of swallowing what they have fabricated is an extra sign that God is sending. And that's why there are 9 signs. And I wrote an article on this a long time ago. Okay, the 9 signs that God has shown. So this is one of the signs that people usually miss. See, had he thrown, you see, they already did their clever magic, and it became that the ropes and sticks were moving to people. And had Moses thrown, and he would have also basically started having this serpent that was moving, it would have been a draw. Okay, because there's no winners, because they created and Moses created and said, well, okay, this is just part of the magic that these guys didn't done. So this guy is also a magician. Okay, because that's what that's what the Pharaoh wanted people to take from this whole show that he arranged on the day of festivities. And so he wanted people to take home that, yes, Moses, as just Pharaoh said, our leader said, he's just a magician like this other magician, and there was this thing, it wasn't interesting, so everybody goes home. But God says, no, it's not enough, because now what we are going to do is we are going to make this serpent swallow all of those other ones, those creations. And now when that happens, then the victory goes to Moses. That's why God says you'll be exalted. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْأَعْلَى. Okay, that's what God is telling Moses. قُلْنَا لَا تَخَفْ. We said, do not be fearful. Indeed, you will be exalted. And so that's exactly what happened. Okay. But the other thing that I wanted to also mention this, that if you reach the point in your life, okay, that you can really rely on God and put your trust in Him, you have won. But the point is that God knows that at some time you may have these shreds of doubts inside your heart, just like Moses did. And He doesn't hold it against you. Okay? That is the point. That's the magnanimity of God. Okay? That's the amazing part. And He does not hold it against Moses. Okay? And so we have to really thank God for all of these blessings that He's given to His servants. And somebody would have said, "Well, are you? What's the matter with you? Don't you trust me?" or something like that. Okay? No, that's not the case. He very calmly says, "And throw what is in your right hand." He said, first of all, he puts his fears down. Okay, tries to subside his fears. We said, "Do not fear. You will be exalted." And then the next ayah said, "Throw what is in your right hand, it would swallow what they have fabricated. Indeed, what they fabricated is no more than a magician's trick, and the magicians will never succeed." Okay. So God explains it to him. And so this is again another sign that God gives Moses. And so those are one of the 9 signs. Okay, anything else? Any other comments or question, observations?
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum assalam, Mahmoud. Yes?
And verse 41, I like that, very powerful. And God saying, I have chosen you. You translate on yourself. I made you just for me.
Yes.
وَاصْطَنَعْتُكَ لِنَفْسِي. Yeah. I mean, look at that. how God has emphasized in here how Moses was given that privilege and God has chosen him. And the pedestal they put on Prophet Muhammad, saying that he was, the best of the messengers and all the stuff that they have, Ashraf al-Mursaleen and all the power they put on him. This is the only messenger that this word he was used for. He made you just for me.
Yeah.
And God has given Moses, incredible story and honor that God has honored him. And they're all the same, and we shouldn't make any distinction. But God has, chose some when we talk to him, some we didn't talk to them. God, saying, do not make any distinction. And do not fall in love with one messenger and do not hate one messenger. Just treat them the same, all of them. They were sent to you. And look at the verse 51. It says, what about the previous communities? That's also something we always worry about. That the previous communities and how would their condition be? And 52 is telling us that their knowledge is with God. Don't worry about it. If they were not following, well, I remember, the time that they will always debate with Rashad, they will say, oh, if we follow Quran, are you telling me all the previous Muslims were doing everything wrong? Yeah. Don't worry, that it's the same exact, words that Pharaoh is using, they're using it today. What do you think about the previous communities? And how come Prophet Muhammad didn't know what you are telling me about the 19 and all this?
Yeah. How come he didn't know that the 19th, the exponent of the 19th Mersenne prime is 4253?
Exactly. And the dilemma is because you put this guy on a pedestal, and then you cannot fathom that he didn't know. You cannot. It never crosses your mind. He should have known everything. So they want someone that knows everything, and it's more than you. But that's the stories God is telling us here is we're all the same. We're human. A lot of doubts, a lot of.
Yes.
Satan is here. He was there and he's here today.
Yep. Well, part of the thing that I was actually during the meeting I talked about is that the things that does not apply to you, don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Okay? You have your own life and your own responsibility, okay? Which kind of meat should we eat? You go to the grocery store and buy meat, okay? When was the last time you had that problem? That some meat was just about to die, but your dog went and saved it, and then you slaughtered that thing the right way, okay? When was the last time you did that? So why are you asking that question? Okay? When was the last time you did it personally? Okay, did that happen to you? Okay, you couldn't go to the grocery store and buy a steak for yourself. I mean, these kind of questions come up, but this is coming from people who want to codify all of the Quranic text. They want to tell other people what to do from their own understanding of the Quran, and that has been done. Has been a miserable failure, absolutely miserable failure, because people went beyond their things, call of duty that they had to God. And then from that, they actually took the wrong path. Okay? People write books now. People write books that how to basically do everything that you're supposed to do. And if you are in that position, God will show you the right way. If you are interested than you are a believer. If you are not a believer, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant what God says. For the non-believers, it's absolutely irrelevant. So it doesn't apply to them. Why are you trying to codify the Quran or go through this thing because you just want to be just like the other ones, like the mufti or somebody that tells you what to do and what not to do? Okay, and these kind of things are basically a dead end type of thing, and should not get involved in it. Yeah.
Waste of time.
But it is absolute waste of time. It's not a waste of time. It's actually damaging. It's damaging their soul by doing this.
Yeah. Verse 40, God is saying to Moses here, وَفَتَنَّاكَ فُتُونًا. We have tested you thoroughly. And we have to go through that test, all of us. But, to show our character and how our belief is that we have to go through that test, and that is a couple of words that is also highlighted here. Since we have tested you thoroughly.
Yep.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Any other comments or question, observations, or discussions?
Salam, Dr. Fazely.
Walaikum salam, Nishad. Yes.
Another, regarding the verse that God talks about, I made you just for me.
Yes.
When you think about it, all the stuff that nowadays we think as attributes or characteristics that, some people better than the others, whether it's color, whether it's like eloquency in speech, whether it's like mild temper. Moses was exactly opposite. And that shows how much our standards in life is so. God is showing that, he chose one of his creatures or a human being that was faulty physically, even from a temper perspective. Obviously he became better, and as you said, even his past deeds has been, turned into credit. But there was a reason that God is showing that the qualities that we choose to distinguish ourselves from each other or, pay more respect to one versus the other are not the things that God cares about.
Yes.
The speech nowadays is just like if you can speak well, and you can become so successful. You might not have any other talent, but you get really high up. And it's exactly opposite with Moses. He was just praying to God, untie the knot from my tongue,
Yeah, he was tongue-tied. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the price. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Anyway, it's just that, even myself, we get impressed with these kind of attributes. Somebody speaks very well or carries themselves very well and stuff like that, but we have to pay attention to like the inner person.
Well, God says that you may be impressed with their looks.
Exactly.
That hypocrites. So you have to be very careful with that. It's also if you have an English accent, people think that you're smarter.
True. That's so true. Actually, we had a training and they talked about this unbiased prejudices, and one of those was like different type of accents and how it impacts people's impression of your capabilities, or Anyway, a human being is just, we have got everything the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why Quran becomes a very confusing book, because it says things that we do not practice in our everyday life.
Right.
And then when we face the Quran, it says things that are not, because, as I said, like when we say, think about God all the time, well, we have other things to think about, you see.
Right.
And
right.
solve this problem, that problem. But those problems will not be solved if God is not on your mind. That's the point. And they forget that thing, okay? And so you can work as hard as you want to, and you can never solve that problem unless God isn't on your mind. Then your mind would be illuminated with the information that you need to solve that problem. And so that's the way to get to success.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so true. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or question observations? Okay, if there are no more questions, we quit for tonight then. And we stopped at verse 71, so we start from 71 next time, inshallah. And so let's do our usual al-Fatihas, 3 of them.